Hi there. This is a talking video about the glass revolution solar tracker heliostat, concentrated solar power, and demo that I'm building with the web interface. I've been working on several aspects of it. I've been improving the reliability of the circuit, which is now a big bunch of wires. Ultimately, of course, that's going to be a little printed circuit board, and I guess the kind of circuit board is not very uncommon, which is a motor controller and a microcontroller, programmable and accessible through serial interface. That's not really I guess you can actually find some kits to build that, but added to that, hopefully we'll get magnetic rotary encoders. I've worked on the optical rotary encoders, which looks like this. And basically this is simply a, this is a small one. I've got a bigger one. Pretty psychedelic stuff if you look at it, and you know, it's pretty cool. But I tried to copy it on transparency, but these copy shops don't do that anymore because everybody uses PowerPoint, of course, and no transparencies anymore. So you have a challenge to turn this into actually something that a photodiode can get through. Well, there's two solutions. One is to cover it with aluminum foil, for instance, and then use a sharp knife to cut it out, which is not very nice to do with aluminum foil because it likes to tear. And then of course you would like to take the bigger wheel. So that's just a matter of patience, and then of course you have, let's say, which type of sensor we use. But the nice thing about these rotary encoders is of course that they're very low tech. If I find a solution to do it with this paper type easily, then of course it's a perfect solution if you can basically do this with a little bit, let's say, plastic covering. It can last a long time, and you know exactly where you are or what's happening to your mirror. The other option is to use magnetic rotary encoders, which output the exact position to 12 bits, I believe, is possible. And that would be very nice because then you can simply say, okay, go to position, angle, blah blah blah, and then you're precise in 0.8 or even smaller, 0.4 degrees. This is like the angles in degrees. And that makes it also possible, with this also and the other, let's say the potentiometers also make it possible to type in a position and allow it to go there. Which ultimately means, of course, is that you get the opportunity to have online algorithms and address these systems through websites. And basically you can test different algorithms, see which one's more efficient. I'm not sure if that's that interesting, but that would be kind of a wandering away from the topic of what this is all about. This is about demonstrating that you can build with solar energy by melting sand into glass, and then the whole world opens because you have renewable energy that you use to do your construction, and your construction can be anything. It can be a pipe, it can be a machine, it can be glass fiber. You can build beams, so you can make glass beams. I guess the sky is the limit ultimately if you understand how to work with glass. Of course, that's a little bit of a let's say, development. But then, you know, you basically you can build an economy built partially on the utility of glass, because you can also, of course, still make wind power, and you can make solar electricity, and you can make new batteries and all this stuff. You can still do that. But let's say you have a very carbon unintensive way to build installations, and there's no limit to the amount that you can build, because and there's basically no cost to it except for the installation to build it. That's the idea behind it. That's what I wanted to promote, and so I make it a little bit open design. And basically the plan is to go to a very sunny place. I tried today to melt stone in my on my balcony, and I can basically chip off pieces of it, because it will basically the spot, the focus point of a 33 centimeter lens is already so hot that that let's say the thermal transmission through the stone is not fast enough, so it will basically expand and chip off, and these things break and they discolor, and I'm not sure what chemical reaction takes place there. That's a question for anybody interested, is if you have can you make a battery of a substance that simply, let's say, runs out as a battery, but if you heat it really hot, it reverts back to its original charged state. You know, that's something you need, or that you can. It's possible. There's no doubt about it. I'm pretty sure that there are chemical reactions that are that can be reversed thermally, and then have can be allowed to run, let's say, through electrical circuit. That's 100% certain. You just have to find the right ones, and then you can make a battery that you simply can plug into one of these devices and wait a day, and then they're charged again. That would be nice. One example of some battery made through, by that principle would be aluminum air or magnesium air battery. But the only challenge that you have then is that, of course, the aluminum rusts to the air, and you can use it as a battery. You can actually make one of those in your kitchen in 5 minutes if you want. I did that. There's actually a video about it in one of my channels. And if you want to reverse that reaction, which is the oxidation of aluminum, then you simply heat it up to a temperature where it loses the oxygen. Which also happens with zinc, which also happens with iron. So you get a whole class of basically batteries. The only problem is that the oxidation makes it chip and fragment and all this stuff. So then you end up with powder, which maybe is hard to reverse. I'm not sure. I never tried. Might be very easy. But I also tried whether there will be water splitting with the heat. So I took a little. But I think the lens is too small to do that. You can split water with solar heat. It just has to be very hot. I believe 1800 degrees or something like that. And then water doesn't want to. The oxygen and the hydrogen are moving so fast that they will break apart, and you will have water splitting. It's not done that way in energy production systems. In energy production systems, you have a metal that steals the oxygen from the hydrogen, like zinc or iron, and then you heat the zinc or the iron to a temperature, and then it loses the oxygen again. That's how these systems work, and they have been built, like several times. It's always, it's so horrible to hear people talk and blabber in Holland constantly about how it's impossible to live off renewables, how we can best first go for biogas, which is an intermediary step to go to clathrate gas, which will definitely kill humanity. It's absolutely certain, no doubt about it. That's the end. If you go for that, then you're basically suicidal as humanity, as mankind. And all kinds of other stuff. Which let's say cradle to cradle was already done, and it's nothing new. Like, okay, for me personally, renewables doesn't have to be new. It is not new. It has been done in the 70s. It has been done in the 50s. A lot of it has been invented and forgotten about. Like, for instance, there's many examples. Solar updraft towers, which are towers that they have been built in Spain, have been running for 8 years very happily, and let's say produced enough electricity to pay off the building cost, and then went on for a couple of years more, and then they were broken down because the financial system is a carbon credit system. It's carbon based. Maybe you hear my neighbors, they have a birthday, but molten salt heat storage. Well, that's one of the first things they tried, because there were German designers and engineers that thought about the problem and found the best solution, which is molten salt heat storage, so that you can store it during the day and use the turbine during the night with the molten salt heat storage. Then they forgot about it and they tried everything else, because of course the way the way you fuck up a technology is you infiltrate the organization, and then you suggest to do it in a stupid way. So what they try to do is make the molten salt go everywhere in the system, and of course, if it gets below 90 degrees Celsius, then it solidifies and everything gets stuck and it's rusty. Anyway, stupid. But in exactly the same manner, they have had a water splitting concentrated solar power installation in Spain up and running for a couple of years, 4 to 6 years, and they broke it down, and now they're inventing it again. That's how devious and deceptive the scientific world actually is. Nocera is a very good example of a scientist that is simply a complete fraud and liar, going on about his leaf technology, splitting water like a leaf. It's just crap. It is really insulting to see somebody. And MIT, I think, definitely has a nick of, or has a habit of inventing stuff and reinventing it, simply to get some attention and get some money. What they're also trying to do there is and that's a little bit of it's not a smear, but simply expectation. They are saying, okay, let's make these fullerene sheets very large. Why? Well, because they are very good substrates for superconducting, because you have 2 layers of carbon, and these electrons, they can just, you know, swoosh right through empty space in between. And so they're challenging themselves to make very big, very large sheets. And of course that might be possible. Maybe it's even simple. But the danger is, of course, that they do it and they make it look very complicated. That's really a very common theme in universities, is that you see them invent something that you say, hey, I know that already exists. The general public doesn't know. It's just go like, wow, that's a smart invention. I heard, there's a video, and I probably can't find it, but there's a video of a German laboratory where they, in a university in Germany, where they were investigating running cars on ammonia, which is NH2 or NH3. So it's nitrogen and 3 hydrogen. I believe that's it. But that's, yeah, it burns like hell. Not very easily, but once it just burns a little bit less easy than diesel. Ammonia, you can use it, and it's been used in the Second World War in Belgium. There were buses driving on ammonia, and many other instances. And actually, what's his name? Jack Nicholson promoted a car driving on not on pneumonia, pneumonian car. Like achoo, you can like move forward, but no. Jack Nicholson promoted it, and there was a guy that invented it. And I recently I had contact with him. Asked him, okay, now tell me how to do that. And it's not very difficult. It's basically you have your controller of your engine, have to let's say tweak it a little bit, and then your engine will run on ammonia, because it has a little bit higher ignition temperature. But then the nice thing about it is that it produces nitrogen, which is non-toxic, which is largest percentage of our atmosphere is nitrogen, and it produces water, which is also non-toxic as far as I know. So and the nitrogen oxide emissions are actually less, because those are only dependent on the temperature of your burning, of your fuel burning. And as a whole, maybe I'm not 100% correct, but you have to basically tune the engine so that it burns cooler, and then as long as it burns fully, then you have less nitrogen oxides, toxic nitrogens damaging to the lungs. So that's achievable. And then of course, even if the ammonia doesn't burn, it is a natural substance. It's everybody, we make ammonia all the time. It's called urea. And you know, and looking into that possibility, that very old invention that these German laboratory people were talking about, saying, okay, maybe in 30 years we can make the cars run on ammonia. Bullshit, of course, but anyway, so that's how the world works. There was lots of farmers in the US, and they thought about this whole their own problem, which is that they pay through the nose for fertilizer, which is a large part is ammonia, or anhydrous ammonia. It's basically based on it's nitrogen for the ground. One of the things they have to put into the ground, because the whole intensive farming method is based on the fact that you deplete the soil of every, let's say, it's just like you just put everything in the soil that the plant will need, and after a season it rains out, because the soil itself is dead because of all your herbicides and pesticides that you put into it. I see that I'm almost at 15 minutes, but the farmers, they found out that it's easy to make ammonia if you have a windmill, and that project's also stopped for now, for the last 5 years, which is a waste of time, because it's fuel and it's food, we need it. But anyway, this video has to end now. Thanks.